Hey everybody, this is Ashby the Ashby Farms. I'm here with Clint Brooks, Brooks Mill Farm, where we Oakboro, which is right outside of Monroe, Charlotte.
Yeah,
area?
just north of Monroe,
south of Baden Lake.
Yep.
So I'm just from. So the Yadkin River chain is High Rock, Tuckertown, Baden, Tillery. So I'm from the High Rock area. That's where I grew up, and so not too far from here. But I was just telling Clint on the way down here, I've never been on this leg from like Baden Lake south, and it's just this huge. Everything's agriculture, and it's just rolling hills of. Right now is all what. I mean, henbit, dead nettle.
Yep.
I mean, you can. I'll show you here in a second, but it's like just rolling fields of purple, and it's beautiful. It's a beekeeper's dream. So this is probably the 10th field I've seen near Clint's house, and it's purple as far as you can see. I'm gonna go to this other end here again. I mean, that is a beekeeper's ideal March. All that dead nettle.
So for us, I mean, we get the maple. I mean, we're pretty much like the rest of the Piedmont, but the only good thing is like right now when it's sprayed late, we get a good bit of henbit just from the crop fields and stuff. But
yeah, I mean, the fields are purple coming down here.
They're covered. So, which historically you can notice like on some crop fields, you'll start to see them, they're starting to yellow up.
Right. They've
already been sprayed. But because of the timing of the rain and all that stuff, they've held off, which has given them a great flush, which has put some nectar in the cone for us. So.
How far away then from here are your yards? Does this make it closer, or do you have to like readjust yards down here or what?
Well, so we'll have to readjust some yards. This is sort of my like grafting yard and all that. And see, we just moved, so it's that used to be 15 miles north of here. So now this is my first year here, which isn't too abnormal, but this used to be just a honey yard, and then but now it'll be a new production yard and a grafting yard.
At least it's all right here at your house.
So it's stuff right out the front door.
I do everything like within 6 miles of the house.
Right. But it's still.
You gotta go travel.
It feels like
yesterday I forgot I was grafting.
Yep.
And I forgot a flashlight, not for one, but the second time already this year. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm having to move, and it's just like 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So I'm having to like move the truck, and the problem is the sun sets, the shadows reaching further out in the field.
Right.
I was 200 yards from the hives getting my last graft in yesterday.
Right.
Because I'm having to have the sunlight come right over my shoulder
to hit it
so I can see the larva. To hit it right, and I'm doing it all in the truck right here, and it's such. I mean, I'm just it's like, man, to run back home and then come back over here for just a headlamp, like, oh my god.
It's just one of those days where it frustrates you that. So being able to set up here right outside the house, which my wife is more excited than I am, I think, just because it keeps. Because it used to be, we were 20 minutes from the farm. Right. So I have almost an hour just in driving to and from the farm, not including the work that needs to be done. So now it's just like, step literally right outside, do what I need to do. If I'm grafting, whatever, a couple hundred cells, it don't take long.
Yep.
Just to throw them in and be done with it.
So tell us about you and what's your operation? What y'all do?
Yep.
I know, but
so we've been beekeeping for 10 years this year. Got started just with some nukes, kind of fell in love with it, and I bought some cheap queens when I first wanted to make some splits, and they dudded out on me. So immediately the first year I started trying to figure out how to raise queens, and kind of, long story short, turned us into being queen producers now.
So, and your big focus like us on VSH.
We run VSH, all hygienic stuff. We bring in new stock every single year to try to, elevate that program. Takes a lot of work just to sort of map out the genetic programming, because, some years you think you're gonna get something really nice, and then you come back in and before you know it, they're the meanest bees you've ever seen, and it takes you 2 years to get rid of them. So it's a constant. It's fluid all the time. So there's some tried and true things, but it's a fluid chase for sure.
Okay. So if for those of you who don't know about NABI, that's a North American Honeybee Expo. It was held in Louisville the last 2 Januaries, and we were just moseying around, and Clint introduced himself, him and his wife, me and my wife, and Clint and I just really hit it off, and now we talk 3-4 days a week.
Yep.
And we're not that far apart, so we got a good excuse to come down here this morning, and so we're just gonna look forward to doing some beekeeping today. And this is my first time down here, so we're just catching up. And but what do you what? It's so funny when people say, "How many colonies do you run?" Well, at what time of year?
Right. Yeah.
So what's your high lows look like?
So highs, lows, we're overwintering somewhere around 400, and then peak out at summertime, just probably 6 or so. And then mating nukes, about the same level of mating nukes as that. So,
and your big focus on selling queens?
Selling queens, yeah, that's our big thing. Like I said, bad experience sort of put me down a rabbit hole of really being fascinated by genetics and wanting to put out better stock out there. And like I said before, the thing about running a queen breeding program is just constant science that comes in and sort of influxes into your program, and trying to develop the best bee for the consumer, and ourselves. And I know you know this, and you do the same thing, but we use the same bees that we're selling.
Right. And that's actually a great question, which is people call and they say, "How many lines do you run?" And I'm like, 1. If you don't buy it, I got to use it.
Right.
I'm not creating headaches for myself.
Yeah, exactly. So that's our main focus, is if we're not going to put something bad out, because ultimately it's going to cripple us. So
and you have a 1-off or 2-off, but I always tell customers, give me the opportunity to fix it.
Right. 100%.
Give me an opportunity to make it right.
Yep.
I've had I will say probably just last year I probably had 5 where I made the trip out because they're not far. A customer's not far away. I'll make it a point to go over there, and then there is in fact a problem.
That's right.
And it's no big deal to me to fix 5 colonies. It's not
Yep.
I mean, heck, in your own outfit, it's just by the numbers.
That's right.
You're gonna have these issues.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's our main focus, is sort of trying to produce a better and better bee each and every year. So which takes a lot of work. It takes not just queen selection, but drone selection as well. So making sure we've got the right drones in the air, making sure we have enough drones in the air. Right now, there's, I've heard a lot of stuff down south. Packages have been pushed back 2 and 3 weeks. Even by the big suppliers, just because inadequate drones due to weather.
So if you're at home and you're not, this may be news to you or it may not be, but the whole Gulf Coast got snow right around February the 1st, and there was a second cold blast came through about February the 19th. For us, I'm typically getting in my bees like February 1st, February 7th, somewhere in there, and it was February 28th before I could get in my colonies. So now the trees are right on time.
Right.
But red maple came and bloomed and almost passed us, and it was so cold during the day, the bees couldn't get out and forage. So it was like we missed a big growth period of 3 weeks that time of year. And then just yesterday on one of the and today is the what?
The 19th. Yeah.
Today's March 19th. Just yesterday somebody said, "Who's got NC mated queens?" And it's like, maybe I'm being critical, but it's like you don't understand the seasons or the seasonality or what it takes to make queens. For us, I'm just now seeing sheets of drones in the comb, but it's going to be, we've got drones running around, but I'm not in a hurry to create problems for you or me.
Right.
I'm always 2 weeks behind my competition. Proudly, because you have to consider flight time during the day. May only be like 4 hours for both the drones and the virgins, and then there's a lack of drones.
That's right.
So every day that passes in late March into April is that much better. Now you're probably just if you go south, you're probably 7 days ahead of me at least.
Yeah, maybe somewhere around there.
Yeah,
a week ahead.
Phil Haynes told me when you come in from the coast towards the mountains of North Carolina, it's every 11 miles is one day. So Phil and I are 120 miles apart, and he's 11 days ahead of me almost every year. Right on. I mean, would you?
Yeah, that's probably fair.
Yeah.
I've never put the science to it, but yeah, for sure.
And then Trey Wyatt is up in Eden, which is right on the Virginia border, and he's almost a full week behind me. And then I was talking to Frank from the Double B Apiary. They're out of Wake Forest area. I was talking to Frank yesterday. That's Frank and Kennedy, and they have a farm up in Warren County, which is right, again, it's north of Raleigh, but it's right on the border. And he was saying he's a full week behind his own house.
That's right.
So it's like, when you're going north, every day that ticks by.
That's right.
Makes for better queens or more headaches.
Right. Yep. And I know one of the things that we've definitely learned, and I know you've learned, seeing as the spring progresses, everybody gets excited. You get 3 or 4 days of warm sunshine, and then you're fortunate enough that you fed on time in the fall, you treated on time. So now you've got a monster colony, and the first thing you want to do is scramble thinking they're going to swarm, and they very well have the potential to swarm, but there are management techniques around that to prevent them from swarming, or doing some things that can alleviate them from being in the trees. But sometimes you got to think, we're raising bees right here. We don't have yards in Florida and Texas and stuff. So the same time you're needing the bees, so are we. So we're doing things I know for us personally, that's stacking boxes. So we've got some colonies that are 3 deep high now, just to give them some space to relieve that congestion. And then if you get some swarm cells in there, make some walkaway splits with those swarm cells and see what happens, and go that route. But as far as getting quality mated queens right now from North Carolina,
it's not happening.
It's tough. Unless you're buying some overwintered fall mated queens, which they're out there, but they're going to be more pricey, and you have to sort of ask yourself, and it's one thing I think Ashby and I talked about, is every beekeeping operation, I say this to bee clubs and everybody I talk to, every beekeeping operation, you should have a goal of some type. I mean, whether you got 1 hive or you got 10 hives, so you should sort of carry that forward into your spring plans. So I know it's hard, because I know I probably have ADHD, but because you see the squirrel and you're just ready to go.
Right.
So just try to remember those plans. But I'm guilty.
You got to have a plan, and hold on, you got to be proactive, not reactive.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And you have to have somewhat of a plan and a goal, and of course you can't do that whole goal at once. So you have to think about how to piece and part it out with life and birthdays and moving and
your anniversary.
Anniversary.
All those things. That's right.
Well, hey, I want to check on something real quick. I just thought about something.
Not recording.
Right, that's exactly what I thought. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
So you mentioned swarm techniques. Everybody does swarm prevention different. What's yours look like?
We simply put, we just do, we stack boxes until they get to be so big, and we have cells. Now we're fortunate enough, we use a lot of cells, and we split with cells, and that usually times our swarm prevention methods time right with our queen cell production.
Are you putting all the brood down low? Are you dropping in frames of foundation in the middle of the brood nest? What do you?
So depending on if we have comb available or not, a lot of times I like to put comb on earlier, like in the late February, early March, because that will allow the queen to come up into there better, versus if, in my experience, if you wait till later. If you wait till later March, what you're going to see is with that nectar, all that nectar coming in, they're going to, oftentimes they'll want to plug up that comb. So it kind of, in a way, gets wasted, if you will. I mean, they'll eventually work through it, but so when you see, I like to put checkerboard foundation in a little bit later in March, because it allows, with that nectar coming in, to pull that foundation out and allows them to put some work to
I try to balance brood as much as I can. And that's all. So we overwintered small colonies. I'm not sure exactly. I've never had this problem before, but I know I have holes in my lids, and we've discussed this. But so I built all new lids. I just got to dip them and get them on the colonies shortly. But because I had holes in the lids, then they overwintered a small cluster. So right now we're just balancing brood, trying to get somewhere between 4 and 5 frames. I call it getting over the hump, where like if it's smaller than a 4-framer, they're gonna struggle to keep a brood patch more than this. But it's in particular with it being so cold still, and it was 32 degrees yesterday morning. I mean, and so once you get like that 4 to 5 frames of physical brood, in 1 frame of brood is 2 frames of bees. They can. The cluster size is getting big enough, and they'll start keeping patches. And it just turns on the afterburners.
Yeah, and that's a great point. I think a lot of people, they're so terrified to take from the strong and give to the weak, especially when it's early enough. If you say it's like right now, March 19th, you've got 2 colonies. You got a total of 4 colonies. You got 2 colonies. 2 of them are double deeps, and they are packed out, and you're worried about them swarming. And the other one, they've only got 6 or 7 frames of bees. There is a great opportunity to relieve some of those pressure off those bigger colonies to boost everybody up and equalize. Could it be a queen problem? Possibly so. Could it be all of these other things?
It'll show itself once you start getting sheets of brood.
That's right.
You'll start to see the problem.
And a lot of times, people want to scramble if they see a weak colony and they're like, I want to requeen it immediately. And it's like, I've seen some absolute slayers turn it on once they had a brood boost. And
you can't look at a patch of brood this big and say that queen's trash.
So, or judge her to say that she's trash just because she shrank down. There could have been virus loads or all these other things that predicted that fact. So
what's your feelings on virus loads?
I think it's definitely a thing. There's a lot happening, and I think viruses are. I think what we're seeing is, personally, is some type of viral mutation. Viruses change constantly. So seeing those mutations. I think there's some possibly type of viral loading that's stemming from mites, of course, and we're seeing just that change, but I don't know. The jury's still out. There's so many factors. Nutrition is, I'm sure, a factor. That stuff changes every day with habitat change and stuff like that. There's a lot of different factors there. There's probably some genetic links too. We're probably seeing some genes that are sort of, everybody wants a superpower, bee that's going to make either a lot of brood or a lot of honey.
They want it all.
And that's the only trait that they're selecting for. And, with that, that it can't hold itself up if any type of...
It's like these chickens in chicken houses that are grown just massive sizes, and if they get too big, they break their own legs. It's like you selected for the wrong thing.
So evolution hadn't caught up. So,
And I think now we're going to head out to the bee yard, do some beekeeping. We're setting back some of those weak colonies today, taking out a bunch of brood to go boost other colonies. So just down here doing some beekeeping with Clint, and we'll see you in the yard. All right, guys. So, Clint, tell them what we're doing out here today.
So we're just taking some colonies. We're knocking these back pretty hard, and then we're just taking some brood. Just pretty much harvesting some brood out and boosting some that'll be used for honey production and nuke production here in a couple weeks. So just sort of taking the surplus of these colonies that are pretty nice and just pulling them down to nothing. And these will be nice colonies come summertime for nukes, for replacing queens and whatever we need them for.
There you go. I'm gonna take them over here and just give them a quick show of what we're doing. So all this is just frames of brood here. We're using a double screen on the bottom and the top. Head back over here, I'll show you. It's probably approaching 80 degrees today, and our scare is that all this brood is gonna cook. So I'll show you what we're doing. We got them all in the shade here. So this is what we've been harvesting so far this morning, but all together we're gonna be getting 80 frames of cap brood together. So you don't want too many bees in here. As it sits like that right there is about too many bees. So we keep these over here just in the shade. Like I said, we don't want them cooking while we're working. But so Clint went and grabbed some excess drawn comb to replace back, and you know he's got so much. There is just so much dead nettle through here that's blooming. I mean, they're getting a nectar flow. Matter of fact, let me show you this. That is white wax coming in, and he hasn't fed. This is all strictly from, what is it, dead nettle and henbit. I couldn't think of it, henbit.
As you see, and the fields are not these, but you can see part
I'll
of them
zoom
are
in
purple.
right here. I mean, all that right there.
Yeah, and these large fields, like this field next to us and right behind us, is probably 60 acres, and it's all solid.
Oh
purple.
yeah, when I was coming in this morning, like it was you could just see literal 100-acre fields full of it. And the farmers haven't sprayed it yet, and it's a beekeeper's dream.
Yep.
And explain what you're doing just while we're here. Somebody's gonna ask me,
Yep.
what are you doing on these? Why are these boxes shaped this way? And the
Yep. So this is perfect. These are half size medium frames, so half size 6 5/8, and 3 frames of these goes into mating nukes. And so we put these boxes on. We call them growing boxes, and we'll put these on early, and they will grow out these frames for us. And sometimes it works well, sometimes it doesn't.
it's beekeeping
so
for you.
You can see, and see, this is the only problem I hate with a flow, with putting comb on, because that's exactly what they do.
Let me zoom in on that. Chock full
of nectar.
Yeah.
So full of nectar.
Yeah.
You'll see.
So what do you do to resolve that later?
So what we'll do is we just, instead of this, we'll put checkerboard some foundation in.
Okay.
And then we'll also use these. We'll put 1 frame of feed in with 2 frames of brood. And so these will just end up being feed frames.
Sweet.
So
Pop this next one here. Oh yeah. Look at all that drawn white wax there.
let's see if it's brood or if it's honey. Nice.
Nice cap brood there. That's what they're supposed to do, right?
That's right. That's how it's supposed to look right there. Yep, that's textbook.
Yep.
So we'll put a frame of this and a frame of food, and then a foundation, and that'll start those mating nukes.
Heck yeah. Well, guys, thanks for joining us today. Sure do appreciate y'all watching this if it's made it this far. If you don't currently go out and beekeep with other people, there's always something to learn from somebody else. Sometimes that's the failure in their ways. Sometimes they'll tell you, and sometimes they won't.
That's right. Yeah, you'll see it. You'll see it.
You'll see it, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's blatantly obvious that, like, hey, they're screwed. And some people don't want to hear. And then, like me, if you come out and volunteer with us, like, please, if you see something that can be done better, tell me. I'm always looking for that one little step, that one little edge that somebody else does in this way, and that's how you get better. But Clint, appreciate you having me out today, man.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, guys. Again, it's Clint Brooks Mill Farm out of Oakboro, North Carolina. He raises fantastic stock. It was funny because we heard about each other at Nobby, and he just happened to catch me, and now, like, you know, two old brothers.
That's right.
So
the rest is history.
That's right, man.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, buddy, and we'll see y'all in the next episode.
Appreciate it.
All right, bye.